I never thought love could feel like drowning and breathing at the same time. The moment my mother collapsed at the top of the stairs, her hand clutching her chest as if her own heart had betrayed her, I knew my life had split into before and after. Before I kissed Rocio in the garden, after my family saw us. The crystal vase she'd been holding shattered on the marble floor, and in that explosion of glass and gasoline-scented gardenias, everything I thought I knew about my world began to crack too. My name is Emmanuel, and I was raised to believe some people were born to serve and others to be served. I never questioned it. Not when Rocio brought my coffee each morning, her fingers careful around the porcelain. Not when my father spoke about those people at dinner, his voice heavy with certainty. Not until I looked into her eyes one afternoon while she was arranging flowers and realized I'd been blind my entire life. The house smelled like old money and older secrets, leather-bound books no one read, imported cigars my father saved for business partners, my mother's perfume, expensive and cold, expensive. I'd grown up in that smell, never noticing how it pressed against my lungs until Rocio walked past me one morning carrying fresh laundry, and I caught the scent of plain soap and something warmer, human, real. She'd worked for my family for 3 years. I barely noticed her at first. She was just part of the house, like the paintings or the furniture. My father had hired her after the previous maid retired, some cursory interview process I wasn't part of and didn't care about. The staff came and went. We didn't learn their stories. We barely learned their names. But somewhere between my business degree and my father's plans for my future, I started seeing her. The way she hummed quietly while cleaning, how she always asked my younger sister about her school day, really listening when no one else did. The small smile she'd hide when she thought no one was watching. The careful way she moved through our house, as if she was always aware she was a guest who could be dismissed at any moment. "Good morning, Emmanuel," she'd say, setting down my breakfast with hands that never trembled, never spilled, never made mistakes. Morning. I'd barely look up from my phone, scrolling through emails that felt important but were just noise. That was before I understood that kindness doesn't announce itself. It just exists, quiet and constant, like breath. Before I learned that the most invisible people are often the ones holding everything together. The change started slowly, so slowly I didn't notice it was happening. I began staying in the kitchen longer, asking her about her day. She'd answer carefully, always maintaining that invisible line between us, the one drawn by salary and skin color and generations of unspoken rules. Her mother was sick, I learned. Cancer treatment, aggressive and expensive. The insurance my family provided was the only thing keeping her alive. Rocio worked 2 jobs, this one during the week and weekend shifts at a bakery across town, sending everything home to a house I couldn't imagine, and didn't try to. "You don't have to tell me," I said once, seeing her discomfort, the way she shifted her weight like she wanted to run. "It's okay. You asked." She paused, her hands still in the dishwater, bubbles clinging to her wrists. "Not many people ask. They should." She looked at me then, really looked, and something passed between us. Recognition, maybe, or warning. I wasn't sure which. My father's voice would boom through the house every evening like a storm you could set your watch by. German Vega, self-made millionaire, destroyer of weak competitors, builder of empires. He'd built our fortune from nothing, he reminded us constantly, dragging himself up from poverty through sheer will and ruthlessness, and he'd be damned if his children forgot what that took. "Emmanuel, tomorrow you're meeting Jennifer Castillo. The Castillos, remember? Good family, good connections. Her father runs half the political landscape in this city. Father, I'm not interested in..." "You're interested in what I tell you to be interested in." This family didn't get where it is by following hearts. We follow strategy. We follow power. He cut his steak with precision, each movement controlled. Love is what poor people use to justify their mistakes. We're not poor. My mother, Gloria, was softer, but no less rigid. A silk glove over an iron fist. Appearances meant everything. Who we married, who we associated with, how we were seen in the society pages and at charity galas. "Love was fine," she'd say, patting my hand with her cold fingers, as long as it was with the right person, from the right background, the right color, the right tax bracket. I didn't argue. I never argued. I'd learned early that disagreeing with German Vega was like arguing with a hurricane. You just waited for it to pass, and cleaned up the damage after, until Rocio. It happened gradually, then all at once, the way falling always does. Conversations that stretched longer, me finding excuses to need things when she was in the room. Her laugh, rare and beautiful when it appeared, becoming something I wanted to hear again, a sound I'd chase through my day, like light through clouds. The day she brought me soup when I was sick, homemade from her mother's recipe, not from our kitchen staff with their culinary degrees and expensive ingredients. It was simple, chicken and vegetables and something I couldn't name but tasted like care. I asked her where she learned to cook. My grandmother. Before she died, she taught me everything. Said a woman who can feed people will never be powerless. Rocio smiled at the memory. She was wrong, of course, but it was a nice idea. Wrong how? Because I can cook and clean and work until my hands bleed, and I'm still powerless. Still at the mercy of people who could fire me on a Tuesday for burning their toast. She said it without bitterness, just fact. But the soup is good, right? It's perfect. The way she looked at the garden in the morning light became something I memorized. Like she was trying to hold on to a beauty that wasn't hers to keep. Once I found her touching the roses my mother had imported from France. Her fingers gentle on petals that cost more than she made in a month. "Do you ever think about leaving?" I asked her once, watching her water plants with the careful attention she gave everything. Every day. She didn't look at me. But where would I go? Anywhere. You're smart. You could do anything. Anywhere costs money, Emmanuel. Money your family pays me. Money my mother needs to stay alive. Her voice was soft but sharp, a blade wrapped in velvet. We don't get to dream the same dreams. That's not how the world works. That should have been the end of it. A reminder of reality, of the chasm between our worlds that no bridge could cross. Instead, it was the beginning, because I started to see that chasm not as natural, but as built, by people like my parents, people like me. I started finding excuses to be where she was, needing coffee when she was in the kitchen, checking on things in rooms she was cleaning, inventing problems so I could watch her solve them with quiet competence. My sister caught on first. You like her. It wasn't a question. Isabella was 16 and saw everything. Don't be ridiculous. You look at her the way Dad looks at money. She grinned, sprawled across my bed like a cat in sun. But nicer, less hungry, more, I don't know, human. It's not, does she like you back? I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because I didn't know. And not knowing felt like standing at the edge of something vast and terrifying. I tried to stop. Tried to focus on the life my parents had planned. The one I'd agreed to, without ever actually agreeing. The Castillos visited frequently. Jennifer was beautiful, in the way expensive things are beautiful. Perfect hair that never moved. Perfect smile that never quite reached her eyes. Perfect rehearsed laugh at jokes that weren't funny. She talked about charity galas she'd attended, and fashion from designers I'd never heard of, and trips to Europe where she'd done nothing but shop and take selfies at landmarks. She never asked me a real question, never wondered what I thought, or felt, or wanted. I was a role to her, not a person. The wealthy husband who'd slot perfectly into her wealthy life. "Don't you think Emmanuel and Jennifer look wonderful together?" My mother would say, too loud, making sure everyone in the room heard, making sure Rocio heard. I realized later. Marking territory. Jennifer would touch my arm, her nails like red warnings against my skin. We do make sense, don't we? Our families complement each other so perfectly. Sense. As if love was mathematics. As if people were investments that paid dividends. As if the goal was a balanced portfolio instead of joy. I went through the motions. Dinners at expensive restaurants where the food was art and tasted like cardboard. Parties where everyone said nothing in the most eloquent way possible. Conversations that felt like script readings for a play I'd never auditioned for. And all the while, I'd come home and find Rocio cleaning something, humming that wordless melody, and feel like I'd been holding my breath all night. "How was your evening?" she asked once, late, when I stumbled in from another forced date. Suffocating. The word slipped out before I could stop it. "Sorry. That was... honest?" She folded a dish towel with precise movements. "You're allowed to be honest, Emmanuel. At least with yourself. What about with you?" She looked up. The kitchen light made her eyes warm, deep brown flecked with gold I'd never noticed before. "That depends on what you want to say. Everything. Nothing. Words I didn't have yet. I think you're the only real person I know. I'm the help. We have to be real. We can't afford masks. Maybe that's why I stopped. Why what? Why I can't stop thinking about you. The silence stretched. Somewhere a clock ticked. Outside, wind rattled the windows like it wanted in. Rocio set down the towel. Don't, she whispered. Please don't say things like that. Why not? Because I can't unhear them, and I can't afford to want things I can't have. Her voice cracked. Go to bed, Emmanuel. Forget this conversation. We both need to forget this conversation. But I didn't, and neither did she. I could tell by the way she avoided me the next day, and the day after, like I was dangerous, like we both were. The garden kiss wasn't planned. Nothing real ever is. I'd found Rocio there on her break, sitting on the stone bench my grandfather had installed decades ago, when he still believed in beauty for its own sake. She looked tired, the kind of tired that lives in your bones and doesn't leave with sleep. Long day? I sat beside her, too close enough to feel the space between us humming with possibility and danger. Every day is long. She didn't move away, didn't move closer, just existed in that moment with me. But this one's pretty. The evening light made everything golden, forgiving. Shadows stretched across the lawn like they were reaching for something. Somewhere, a bird called out, sharp and lonely, the same call over and over. Her hand was on the bench between us, and I covered it with mine without thinking, without planning, just doing. Emmanuel, I know all the reasons this is impossible. I've listed them. I've tried to talk myself out of it. I turned to face her, and her eyes were wet, reflecting sunset. But I can't stop thinking about you. I can't pretend anymore. I don't want to pretend. You don't know what you're saying. What this would cost. Her hand trembled under mine. Your family would... I don't care. You should. You have to. A tear slipped down her cheek. Emmanuel, listen to me. People like your parents don't forgive things like this. They don't evolve or understand. They destroy. And I can't. My mother needs this job, needs the insurance. Without it, she dies. Do you understand? She dies. Then tell me what to do. Tell me how to stop feeling this way. I can't, because I feel it too. The confession broke something in her. God help me. I feel it too, and it's going to ruin everything. I kissed her, soft at first, asking permission she gave by kissing me back, then desperate, like two people drowning who'd found each other in deep water. Her hands in my hair, my hands on her face, her waist, pulling her closer, the taste of salt from her tears, the smell of gardenias and earth and something burning, though I didn't know if that was the garden or us. For one perfect moment, the world was just us. Just two people who'd found something real in a house full of beautiful lies. Then the vase shattered. The sound was like a gunshot. We broke apart, looked up. My mother stood at the top of the stairs, her face white as bone. My father beside her, red and volcanic, fury incarnate. The crystal vase Gloria had been holding lay in pieces at the foot of the stairs, water spreading across marble, gardenias scattered like casualties. What? My father said, each word a hammer. Is this? My mother made a sound, small and awful, like an animal in a trap. Her hand went to her chest. Her eyes rolled back. And then she was falling, her body crumpling, her expensive dress billowing as she hit the stairs and tumbled down. I ran. We all ran. My father got there first, cradling her head, screaming for someone to call an ambulance. Isabella appeared from nowhere, crying. Staff materialized, frightened and confused. And Rocio stood frozen in the garden doorway, watching the destruction our kiss had caused. The ambulance came fast, sirens that sounded like accusations, paramedics who moved with practiced efficiency, checking vitals, asking questions my father barked answers to. They loaded her onto a stretcher. I tried to go with them. Not you, my father said. You stay here. You've done enough. I watched the ambulance pull away, red lights disappearing into evening. Behind me, Rocio was still standing there, her hand over her mouth, her whole body shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. I knew better. I knew, and She couldn't finish. Just turned and ran into the house, toward the servant quarters, away from me. The hospital waiting room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like trapped insects trying to escape. My father sat rigid in a plastic chair, his hands clenched into fists. Isabella curled up next to me, still crying. Hours passed. Doctors came and went. Words like cardiac event and stress-induced and stable condition floated around us. Finally, a doctor approached. Mrs. Vega is going to be fine. It was minor. We want to keep her overnight for observation, but she should make a full recovery. My father's shoulders dropped. Relief, then anger. He stood, gestured for me to follow him into the hallway. His eyes were dead things. You will never speak to that girl again. Her name is Rocio. I don't care if her name is Mary Magdalene herself come down from heaven. You will end this. Today. Now. Father, do not. His voice was cold, calculated, the one he used in business negotiations when he was about to destroy someone. Do not test me on this, Emmanuel. You almost killed your mother tonight. Your selfishness, your complete disregard for this family, for everything we've built. I love her. He laughed. Actually laughed. A sound like breaking glass. Love. You think love matters? You think love pays bills and maintains status and keeps empires running? You're a fool. A child. Then let me be a fool. No. He leaned in close. I could smell coffee and rage on his breath. Here's what's going to happen. You will never speak to that girl again, or she loses her job. Today. This instant. And with it, her mother's insurance. How long do you think the woman has without treatment? 2 months? 3? Maybe 6 if she's lucky? The world tilted. You wouldn't. I built this family by making hard choices. This is easy. His smile was a wound. That girl is not your future. She's a mistake you're going to forget. Jennifer Castillo is your future. The Castillos need an infusion of capital. We need their political connections. It's a perfect arrangement. You will propose to Jennifer at the charity gala next month. You will smile for the cameras. You will play your part like the good son you're supposed to be. And if I refuse, then you're not my son. And Rocio's mother dies, knowing her daughter destroyed her own family for a fantasy that lasted all of 30 seconds. He straightened his tie. Choose wisely, Emmanuel. Love is a luxury. We deal in necessities. And right now, you need to grow up and do what's required. He walked away, left me standing in that hallway with its flickering lights and distant sounds of machines keeping people alive. I wanted to scream, to punch something, to grab Rocio and run so far we'd fall off the edge of the world. Instead, I went home, found her in the servants' quarters, a tiny room I'd never been in, packing her few belongings into a worn duffel bag. Her hands shook so badly she could barely fold her clothes. I already told them I quit, she said, not looking at me, her voice hollow. Maybe they'll let my mom keep the insurance if I leave quietly. Maybe if I disappear, this all goes away. Don't. Please. I reached for her. She stepped back like I'd burned her. Rocio, I'll fix this. How? She finally looked at me, and her eyes were red, destroyed. How do you fix this? By choosing me and killing my mother? By watching your family destroy us both? By pretending we can somehow make this work when the world is designed to keep people like me in our place? I don't care about any of that. Well, I do. I have to. Her voice rose, cracked. You get to not care because you have money. Security. A safety net made of gold. I don't have that. My mother doesn't have that. If I lose this job, she dies. It's that simple. That brutal. So yes, I care. I care a lot. Rocio. Go be with Jennifer. Live your life. Marry the right person and make your parents proud and forget about the maid who was stupid enough to fall in love with you. She zipped her bag with violent force. At least one of us gets a happy ending. At least one of us gets to keep breathing. Don't do this. It's already done. The moment we kissed, it was done. We were fools to think otherwise. She picked up her bag, walked past me without touching me, without looking back. Goodbye, Emmanuel. She left that night. No other goodbye. Just an empty room that smelled like her, like soap and sadness, and the ghost of gardenias that would haunt me for weeks. I went numb after that, attended family dinners where food turned to ash in my mouth, smiled at Jennifer's rehearsed jokes, and felt nothing. Let my mother, recovered and back to planning, orchestrate an engagement party I'd never agreed to, but couldn't find the energy to fight. I was a puppet, and my father held every string, pulling them tighter each day. You'll thank me someday, he said once, catching me staring out the window toward the garden. When you're running this empire, and you have a wife who understands the game, you'll see I was right. I didn't answer. I'd stopped answering. stopped engaging, just went through motions that felt like dying slowly. Jennifer played her part perfectly. She'd appear at family events, always dressed impeccably, always saying exactly the right things to exactly the right people. But I noticed things my family didn't. The way her father would pull her aside at gatherings, whispering urgently, his face tight with something that looked like desperation. How her smile never reached her eyes, always stopping just short, like she was wearing someone else's face. The phone calls she'd take in other rooms, her voice dropping to a hiss, words I couldn't make out but that sounded like threats or pleas. "You seem distracted," she said once, touching my arm with those red nails. "Are you thinking about the wedding? We should probably start planning. I'm thinking June. Maybe Italy. Somewhere elegant." "Sure. That's all you have to say?" "Sure." Her smile tightened. "You could at least pretend to care, Emmanuel. This is supposed to be romantic." "Is it?" Her eyes flashed. For a second, something real broke through the performance. Anger, fear. Then it was gone, smoothed over with that perfect smile. "Of course it is. We're perfect together. Everyone says so. Everyone except us," I thought. But I didn't say it. What was the point? The gala was held at our estate. My father had spared no expense, which meant he'd spared someone else's expense and called it business. Hundreds of guests in clothes that cost more than cars. Orchestra music floating through rooms that smelled like roses, and ambition and money. Chandeliers throwing light that made everything look softer than it was. Jennifer wore white, like a bride before the wedding, making sure everyone got the message. My father kept his hand on my shoulder, steering me through conversations like I was a prize horse he was showing off. Politicians and businessmen and society matrons who all said the same things in different words. "To new beginnings," my father toasted, his voice carrying across the ballroom. "To the union of two great families. To the future of the Vega Empire." Everyone drank. Everyone smiled. Everyone played their part in this theater of wealth and status. Jennifer's smile was a knife. She raised her glass to me, and in her eyes, I saw something that made my skin crawl. Triumph. Victory. But not love. Never love. Not even affection. Just satisfaction. Like she'd won something. "Shall we make the announcement, darling?" She touched my face. Her hand was cold, her fingers like ice. "Everyone's waiting." I opened my mouth. To agree. To surrender. To let Rocio go and become the man my father wanted. The man I was supposed to be. To kill whatever was left of my heart and call it growing up. Then I saw Rodrigo. He was working the event, serving drinks in a white jacket. Invisible the way staff always are. But he'd been my mother's nurse during her hospital stay. Young guy, early 20s, friendly, always willing to chat when my father wasn't hovering. He was staring at Jennifer with an expression I couldn't read at first. Recognition. And something else. Something dark. Something urgent. Our eyes met across the room. He gave the smallest shake of his head. A warning. Then a gesture, barely noticeable, asking me to follow. I excused myself. Said I needed air. Jennifer's smile faltered for a second, but she recovered, turning to charm a nearby couple. My father was deep in conversation with Jennifer's father, both of them looking pleased with themselves. Two predators dividing territory. I found Rodrigo in the hallway outside the bathroom, away from the cameras and the guests and the performance. "You know something." It wasn't a question. He looked around, nervous, his shoulders tight. "I shouldn't. If anyone finds out I talked, tell me. Please." He exhaled slowly, looked at me like he was measuring something, then made a decision. "Jennifer's family is broke. Like, bankrupt next month broke. Her father owes money to people you don't want to owe money to. Serious people. Dangerous people." My blood went cold. "How do you know this?" "My boyfriend works at the bank they use. Well, used to use before they froze their accounts." He mentioned it in passing, didn't think anything of it. But then I saw Jennifer at the hospital with her dad, and I overheard them fighting. She was furious, talking about how this marriage was their only way out. He shook his head. "This isn't love or even business like your dad thinks. It's a rescue operation. For them. And my father? Thinks he's getting connections and prestige and political power. He has no idea he's being scammed. Jennifer's dad is good. Desperate, but good. He's hidden the debt, made everything look legitimate." Rodrigo hesitated. "There's more. I heard Jennifer on the phone yesterday when I was helping set up the event. She was talking about handling some loose ends, about making sure no one ruins this for her. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? I don't know exactly, but Emmanuel, he looked genuinely afraid. She mentioned Rocio by name, and she didn't sound friendly. She sounded like someone planning something bad. The world snapped into focus, everything clicking into place. The perfect timing of it all. The convenient way my mother's cardiac event had happened right when my father needed motivation to control me. The way Jennifer always seemed to know exactly what to say, exactly what buttons to push. The phone calls, the desperation hiding under her perfect veneer. Where is she? Rocio. I don't know. But if Jennifer's planning something, I was already moving. Found my father in his study. Pulled him away from Jennifer's father with some excuse about a business emergency. Shut the door. Told him everything Rodrigo had said. Pulled out my phone and showed him the financial documents Rodrigo had forwarded. Copies of files Jennifer's father had accidentally left in the hospital waiting room. Papers no one was supposed to see. My father's face went from red to white to gray. I'd never seen him scared before. He was always the predator, never the prey. But now, seeing how close he'd come to being conned, to walking into a trap baited with prestige and political connections, he looked old, vulnerable. I'll kill him. I'll destroy them. I'll ruin them so completely. No, we'll expose them. Tonight, in front of everyone. I met his eyes. And then I'm going to find Rocio and make sure she's safe. Because if Jennifer's threatening her, Emmanuel, even if this is all true, she's still... He stopped. Saw something in my face. She's still what, father? Go ahead. Say it. She's still just a maid? Still beneath us? Still not worth protecting? For the first time in my life, German Vega had nothing to say. We returned to the party. The music still played. People still laughed and drank and performed their wealthy lives. Jennifer saw us coming and smiled, thinking this was her moment. Her father beamed at us, already counting money that wasn't coming. My mother stood nearby, resplendent in designer silk, ready to welcome her future daughter-in-law. I asked for everyone's attention. The orchestra stopped. Conversations died. Hundreds of faces turned toward me, curious, expectant. Jennifer reached for my hand. I pulled away. Thank you all for coming tonight, I began. My voice didn't shake. I was supposed to announce my engagement to Jennifer Castillo. Jennifer's smile widened. Her father nodded approvingly. My mother clutched her pearls, ready to cry tears of joy. But I'm not going to do that, because Jennifer and her family have been lying to us, to everyone here. I pulled out the documents. The Castillo family is bankrupt. They owe millions to creditors, some of them dangerous. This marriage was never about love or even legitimate business. It was a con, an elaborate, calculated con designed to save them from financial ruin using my family's money. The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, shocked silence. Jennifer's face went white, then red. Her father tried to deny it, his voice rising over the chaos. This is outrageous. Defamation. I'll sue. Sue with what money? My father cut in, his voice like a blade. The money you don't have? The accounts that are frozen? We have documentation. We have proof. And everyone here now knows exactly what you tried to do. Guests pulled back from the Castillos like they were contagious. Whispers spread like wildfire. Cell phones appeared. Society matrons already texting their friends, spreading the scandal. Jennifer's father grabbed her arm, trying to pull her toward the exit, but she jerked away. You idiot! She hissed at me, her perfect mask finally cracking completely. You absolute idiot. You could have had everything. We could have been happy. I could have been a good wife. I would have played the part perfectly. That's the problem. It would have been a part. A performance. And I'm done performing. For what? For her? For the maid? She laughed, sharp and bitter, a sound like breaking. You're destroying your life for the help? You're throwing away your future, your family's business, everything, for someone who empties your trash? I'm destroying a lie. There's a difference. There is no difference. This is how the world works. People like us use people like her. That's the natural order. She was screaming now, spit flying, all pretense gone. You're too stupid to see it, too naive to understand that love doesn't matter. Only power matters. Only money matters. Then I'd rather be stupid and naive than whatever you are. She lunged at me, actually lunged, her nails aimed at my face, fury transforming her into something feral. Security grabbed her, pulled her back. She fought them, still screaming. "I'll ruin you. Both of you. You think you can humiliate me like this? I'll make sure you never—" Her eyes landed on someone behind me. "And you. You started all this. This is your fault." I turned. Rocio stood in the doorway to the ballroom. She'd come. I didn't know why. Didn't know how she knew to be here, but she'd come. She wore the same simple dress from that night in the garden. No jewelry, no pretense. Just herself. Jennifer wrenched free from security and went for her. I moved without thinking, putting myself between them. My father grabbed Jennifer's arm, twisted it back. She yelped. "Touch her," he said quietly, "and I will destroy you so completely your name will be a cautionary tale. Are we clear?" Jennifer spat at him. Actual spit. Security dragged her toward the exit. Her father followed, silent now, defeated. At the door, she turned back one last time, her face a mask of hatred and ruined mascara. "You'll regret this, both of you. I'll make sure of it. However long it takes." Then she was gone. Security doors closing. The party dissolved into chaos. Guests left in scandalized clusters, already on their phones, already spreading the story. The Vega engagement disaster. The Castillo con. The maid who'd somehow been at the center of it all. My mother sat heavily in a chair, looking small and old and confused. My father poured himself a drink with shaking hands. Isabella appeared from wherever she'd been hiding and threw her arms around me. "That was the most insane thing I've ever seen," she whispered. "And also kind of amazing." I walked to Rocio. She hadn't moved, still standing in the doorway like she might disappear if she came any closer. "Why are you here?" I asked. "Rodrigo called me. Said you might need help. That Jennifer might try something." Her voice was quiet. "I couldn't stay away. Even though I should have. Even though being here is dangerous." "Dangerous how?" She gestured at the destruction around us. "This. All of this. I've ruined your engagement, your family's reputation, everything. You didn't ruin anything. You saved me from ruining my entire life. Your father still hates me." "No." I turned. My father was watching us. "He doesn't. Do you, father?" German Vega stood there, the great empire builder, the ruthless businessman, the man who'd threatened to let an innocent woman die to control his son. He looked at Rocio for a long moment. Really looked. Maybe for the first time. "I was wrong," he said finally. "About a lot of things. It wasn't an apology. Not yet. But it was a start." The next few days were chaos. The story hit the news. Vega heir exposes Castillo con. Love across class lines. Maid captures millionaire's heart. The headlines made me sick. They reduced Rocio to a fairy tale, to a trope, instead of seeing her as a person who'd done nothing except exist while my world burned down around us. I found her at her mother's house. Small, paint peeling. Nothing like my family's mansion with its marble and its secrets. But when she opened the door, still in her bakery uniform, flour on her cheek, surprise and fear, and something else in her eyes, it felt more like home than anywhere I'd ever lived. "Emmanuel, what are you—" "It's 2 a.m. I know. I'm sorry. I needed to see you, to make sure you're safe. Jennifer's threats. I'm fine. I've been fine." She pulled me inside, closed the door. "You shouldn't be here. If your father finds out, I don't care what my father thinks. I don't care what anyone thinks." I took her hands. They were rough from work, from a life of labor my hands had never known. "I'm sorry. For everything. For not choosing you from the start. For letting my family make you feel less than what you are. For being too much of a coward to stand up to them when it mattered. You stood up to them at the gala. Only after I'd already lost you. Only after I'd let you walk away thinking you didn't matter." My voice broke. "But you do matter. You matter more than any business deal or family legacy or whatever empire my father thinks he's building." She was crying. Silent tears that killed me. "Your father's threats. Withdrawn. My mother's insurance will continue regardless. It's in writing. Legally binding." I pulled out the document my father had signed earlier that evening, his hand reluctant, but his signature clear, witnessed by our family lawyer. "Your mother's treatment is protected, no matter what happens between us. No matter what choices you make. You're free. Your mother is safe. You're both safe. Emmanuel." She couldn't finish, just collapsed into me, sobbing, her whole body shaking with relief and fear and exhaustion. I held her. There, in that small living room with its worn furniture and family photos on walls that needed paint, I held her while she cried years of fear and pressure and impossible choices. Her mother appeared in the doorway, thin and tired from treatment, but alive, watching us with eyes that understood more than I could say. "Mija," she said softly. "Let him talk." Rocio pulled back, wiping her face. "I'm sorry. I thought you'd lose everything. I know. That's what they wanted you to think. That's how they control people." I touched her face, traced the tear tracks. "But you were right. About me not understanding what this would cost. I didn't. Not really. But I do now. And I still choose you. I'll always choose you. People like me and people like you are just people. That's what I should have seen from the beginning. What I should have been raised to see." I kissed her forehead, breathing her in. "I love you. Not despite who you are, but because of it. Because you're kind when the world gives you every reason not to be. Because you work yourself to exhaustion for your mother. Because you see people, really see them, in a way my family never taught me to. This won't be easy. I know. Your family will never fully accept. They're learning, or they can stay in the past without me. My father already signed those papers. My mother..." I hesitated. "She came to me yesterday. Said she wanted to talk to you. To apologize." "Your mother?" Rocio looked stunned. "Gloria wants to apologize to me?" "She's trying. It's awkward and painful, and she keeps saying the wrong things. But she's trying. She told me something I didn't know. About her past. About who she was before the money." I pulled Rocio closer. "Turns out my father didn't always have an empire, and my mother didn't always have that coldness. They built it, layer by layer, and what's built can be dismantled. And Jennifer is being investigated. Turns out threatening people and attempting assault at a public event has consequences. Plus, the people her father owes money to aren't happy about the publicity. They're dealing with their own problems now." I paused. "She can't hurt you anymore. I won't let her." Rocio's mother spoke from the doorway. "Emmanuel, you seem like a good boy, but my daughter has been hurt before. By life. By people who promise things they couldn't deliver. If you're not serious..." "I am serious. Completely serious." I turned to face her. "I want to marry your daughter. I want to build a life with her. Not the life my parents planned, but something real. Something that matters." "That's a nice speech," the older woman said, but her eyes were softer now. "But speeches are easy. Living is hard, especially when you come from different worlds. Then we'll build a new world, one that's ours." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but you hurt her, and I'll come after you myself. Cancer or no cancer." I laughed. Couldn't help it. "Deal." Rocio was looking between us like she couldn't believe this was happening. "Am I getting a say in this?" "Of course." I turned back to her, suddenly nervous. "I'm sorry. I'm doing this all wrong. I don't have a ring. I don't have a plan. I just have me and a lot of hope and..." She kissed me. Stopped my rambling with her lips, her hands in my hair, pulling me down to her level. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes to all of it. The hard parts and the scary parts and whatever comes next. Yes." My mother came to apologize 3 days later. She brought flowers, expensive ones, then saw the look on Rocio's face and put them aside like she understood they were the wrong gesture. She brought tears instead, real ones, and words that sounded like they hurt coming out, like pulling thorns from skin. I was taught that people like Rocio were different, lesser. Gloria's hands trembled in her lap. "I taught you the same poison, Emmanuel. I passed it down like a family heirloom, never questioning it, never stopping to wonder if it was true." We sat in Rocio's small living room, the four of us. My mother looking out of place in her designer suit, Rocio tense beside me, her mother watching from the kitchen doorway like a guardian. "That night when I collapsed," Gloria continued, "it wasn't just shock, it was shame, because I saw the way you looked at her, Emmanuel, and I recognized it. It's how your father looked at me 40 years ago, when I was poor and working in his father's restaurant, when I served him coffee and cleaned his table and he fell in love with me anyway." I stared at her. "You never told me that. We erased it, rewrote our story. Your father made his fortune, and we convinced ourselves we'd always been wealthy, always been the people we became. We forgot who we were, where we came from. She looked at Rocio. Really looked. My family was Mexican. Immigrants. 3 generations working farms and restaurants and construction sites to survive. When your grandfather objected to German marrying me, we eloped. Spent 2 years estranged from his family before they finally accepted me. But you're so... Rocio searched for words. You're so adamant about status, about class, about the very things I ran from. Gloria smiled bitterly. Because I was ashamed. I spent 40 years being ashamed of where I came from, so I became the worst version of the world that had looked down on me. I became the person who would have judged younger me, and I taught my son to do the same. Why are you telling me this? Rocio asked quietly. Because I'm sorry. For everything. For making you feel unwelcome in a house you took care of better than I did. For threatening what matters most to you. For teaching my son to value the wrong things. Tears ran down Gloria's face, smearing expensive makeup. For being exactly the kind of person I would have hated when I was your age. I don't know what to say. Say you'll forgive me eventually. Not now. I don't deserve it now. But someday. Maybe. Gloria stood, uncertain. And say you'll let me try. To be better. To remember who I was before I forgot. Rocio stood too. Looked at my mother for a long moment. Then nodded slowly. I forgive you. But I won't forget. I wouldn't expect you to. Gloria's voice broke. Thank you. They didn't hug. That would come later, much later, after more apologies and more conversations and slow, painful growth. But they saw each other, really saw each other, and that was enough for now. My father took longer. Pride is a hard thing to swallow, especially when you've choked on it your whole life. He avoided the house when Rocio was there, made excuses, threw himself into work like he could outrun his own shame. But 3 weeks after the gala disaster, he showed up at Rocio's mother's house, drove himself, no driver, knocked on the door like a normal person instead of someone who expected doors to open automatically. May I come in? He asked when Rocio answered. She looked at me. I shrugged. This was her house, her choice. She stepped aside. We sat in that small living room again. German Vega looked wrong there. Too big, too expensive, too much. He cleared his throat several times before speaking. I've spent my entire life building power, he said finally, accumulating money and influence and control. I thought that's what made a man successful, what made him matter. He looked at his hands. I was wrong. What changed your mind? Rocio asked, her voice careful. I almost lost my son. I almost destroyed him trying to make him into a copy of me. And for what? So he could be as miserable as I am? As empty? He met her eyes. You make him happy. I don't understand how or why, but you do. And I'm starting to realize that happiness might be worth more than everything I've built. You threatened my mother. I did, and I will carry that shame for the rest of my life. He pulled out an envelope. This is a trust fund, in your mother's name, for her medical care, for anything she needs. It's irrevocable. You can't touch it. I can't touch it. Only she can access it, so you'll never have to fear losing her care again. Rocio's mother gasped from the kitchen doorway. Rocio just stared. I don't want your money. It's not for you. It's for her. And it's not a gift. It's restitution. For what I almost did. For the weapon I tried to use against you. German set the envelope on the table. I'm also offering you a position in the company. If you want it. Not as a maid. As a person. As someone with ideas and opinions that matter. I'm going to school, Rocio said quietly. Business management. I know. Emmanuel told me. The offer stands for when you graduate. If you want it. No pressure. No strings. He stood. I'm trying to be better. To do better. I know it doesn't erase what I did. What I said. But I'm trying. Rocio stood too. Thank you. For the trust fund. For trying. For not making your son choose between you and me. He already chose, German said. At the gala. When he exposed Jennifer and her father and threw away what I thought mattered to stand up for what actually does. He chose you, and he was right to. After he left, Rocio collapsed onto the couch, overwhelmed. Her mother came out of the kitchen, picked up the envelope, opened it, gasped. Mija, this is more than I'll need for 10 lifetimes of treatment. He's trying to buy forgiveness, Rocio said. Maybe, her mother allowed. Or maybe he's trying to apologize the only way he knows how. With money. Because that's his language. She set the envelope down carefully, like it might explode. Either way, I'm accepting it. Because I want to live, and I want to see you married and maybe see grandchildren someday. And this gives me that chance. Jennifer tried one last time to hurt us. It was 3 months after the gala, after the scandal had died down, and the gossip had moved on to other wealthy people's disasters. I was walking out of a business meeting downtown when someone grabbed my arm. "We need to talk," Jennifer hissed. She looked different, thinner, harder. Desperation had carved away her beauty, leaving something sharp and dangerous. "We have nothing to talk about." "Oh, but we do." She pulled out her phone. "See, I've been doing research on your precious Rocio. Did you know her father is in prison, convicted of assault? Did you know her brother has a drug problem? That her family is full of exactly the kind of people your parents were right to look down on?" My blood went cold. "How did you?" "Money buys information, even when you don't have much left." Her smile was vicious. "I can leak this. I can make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of family you're marrying into. The press would love it. Millionaire's son and the maid with the criminal family. It writes itself." "Do it," I said. She blinked. "What?" "Leak it. Tell everyone. Post it online. I don't care." I pulled my arm free. "Rocio isn't her father. She isn't her brother. She's herself. And if people judge her for things she didn't do, things she has no control over, then I don't want their approval anyway. You're insane. Maybe. But I'm also done letting people like you have power over my life. Over her life." I started to walk away. "You'll regret this," she screamed after me. "You're throwing away everything for trash. You could have had me. You could have had it all." I turned back. "I already have it all. And you'll never understand that. That's why you'll always be empty, Jennifer. Not because you're poor now, but because you never learned that some things can't be bought or sold or manipulated. Some things are just real, and that terrifies you." She leaked the information, posted it on social media, sent it to gossip sites, tried to create another scandal, but it didn't land the way she wanted. Some people whispered, some judged, but others defended us, pointed out that everyone's family has problems, that judging someone for their relatives' mistakes was cruel and pointless. Isabella started a counter-campaign, posted beautiful photos of Rocio with captions about her strength and kindness. My mother gave an interview about her own immigrant background, something she'd hidden for decades. My father donated to criminal justice reform organizations. And slowly, the narrative shifted. Not completely. There were still people who looked down on us. Still family friends who stopped calling. Still business associates who made snide comments. But the people who mattered stayed. And the ones who left were showing us who they really were. "I'm sorry," Rocio said one night, after seeing another nasty comment online. "About my family. About the things they've done. Don't apologize for other people's choices. You're not responsible for them. But it affects you, your business, your reputation." Then my reputation was built on sand. I pulled her close. "I'd rather have a reputation for loving you than for being acceptable to people who value cruelty over kindness." We got married 6 months later. Not the huge society wedding my mother had once dreamed of. Just a small ceremony in her mother's garden. The same garden where we'd first kissed. Where everything had started. Isabella was Rocio's maid of honor. My father walked her down the aisle, his eyes wet, something broken open in him. My mother cried through the whole thing, her expensive makeup running, not caring who saw. Rocio's mother sat in the front row, healthy enough now to dance at the reception, her daughter in a simple white dress that cost nothing and meant everything. "Are you happy?" I asked Rocio that night, under stars that didn't care about money or class or anything except light and darkness. "Terrified," she admitted. "But yes, happy. Me too. Your father looked proud today. He's learning." "We all are." I kissed her hand. "Learning that love isn't weakness, that choosing happiness isn't selfish, that the best things in life are the ones you can't buy or manipulate or control." She laughed. That rare, beautiful sound that still made my heart stop. "When did you become a philosopher?" "When I met you. You make me think about things I never questioned, see things I never noticed, be better than I was. You were always good, Emmanuel. You just didn't know it. Neither did you. We danced in that garden. No orchestra, Just music from someone's phone and the sound of family laughing and the smell of gardenias and earth. Rocio's work-rough hands in mine. My expensive suit getting dirty from garden soil. Everything imperfect and real and exactly right. The years since haven't been easy. I still work for my father's company, but I do it differently now. We implemented new policies, better pay for staff, real benefits, actual respect for the people who keep the business running. Some of the old guard left, called us weak, called us foolish, but productivity went up, loyalty went up, and slowly, the culture changed. Rocio graduated top of her class, started her own consulting firm helping small businesses like her mother's bakery. She's brilliant at it. She sees things my expensive education never taught me to notice. Patterns in communities. Opportunities in places rich people overlook. She's building her own empire, one that's actually worthy of the name. We fight sometimes. About money and family and the weight of what we came from. About me falling into old patterns of thinking. About her pushing herself too hard to prove she belongs. About the world that still sometimes looks at us and sees millionaire and maid instead of husband and wife. But we also laugh, build, choose each other every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. My mother and Rocio have coffee together now. Strange sight, the two of them at our kitchen table, talking about everything and nothing. Gloria asks questions, listens, learns. She volunteers now at the same immigrant center where her grandmother used to get help, teaching English, telling her story, slowly unraveling the person she'd built and finding the person she'd buried. I spent 40 years being ashamed, she told me once. I don't want to waste whatever time I have left. My father is harder. Change comes slowly to men built from stubbornness and pride, but he tries, awkwardly, painfully. He asks Rocio's opinion in meetings, defers to her expertise, tells people at business dinners. My daughter-in-law runs her own consulting firm, very successful, smarter than all of us. The words come out stilted, but they come out. Last week, Rocio's mother asked me to help her in the garden, the same garden where everything changed. We planted roses together, our hands in the same dirt, the earth not caring who was rich or poor, just taking our work and making beauty from it. You know, she said softly, her accent thick, her hands sure on the soil. When Rocio first told me about you, I was afraid. Afraid you'd hurt her the way the world already had. Afraid love wasn't enough against everything stacked against you. Is it? I asked. Enough? She looked at me. This woman who'd survived poverty and cancer and watching her daughter fall in love with someone from a different world. No, love isn't enough, but it's a start. And starting is everything. The rest is work, choice, showing up every day even when it's hard. We're still showing up. I can see that. She patted the soil around a new plant, marking it with a small stake. These roses, they'll bloom next spring. You'll still be here to see them? Yes. Good. That's how you know it's real. When you plan for the blooming. When you're willing to wait for beautiful things instead of demanding them now. She stood, brushing dirt from her knees. My daughter chose well, even if she chose hard. I think about that moment in the garden a lot. When I kissed Rocio and the vase shattered and my mother's heart gave out and everything broke open. How catastrophe became clarity. How the worst moment became the beginning of the best thing. How sometimes the world has to break before it can heal. We're not a fairy tale. Rocio still struggles with my family's history, with the ghosts of prejudice that linger in the halls of the house where she once worked. I still catch myself falling into old patterns of thinking, assumptions I was raised with that I have to actively unlearn. We're works in progress, but we're progressing. Together. And that's more than I ever thought I'd have. The world teaches us to love safely, to choose partners who make sense on paper, to value pedigree over person, status over soul, money over meaning. But the heart doesn't read resumes. It doesn't check bank balances or family trees. It just knows. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do is listen to it. Sometimes that danger is also the only way to truly live. I used to think love was about finding someone who fit into your life, who complemented your plans, who made sense to the people around you. Now I know it's about building a life around whoever you love. That means sacrifice, discomfort, choosing growth over comfort, choosing courage over acceptance. But it also means waking up next to someone who sees you completely, All your privilege and blindness and slow learning, and stays anyway. Someone who makes you want to be better than what you were raised to be. Rocio is in our bedroom now, the one we built together in a house that's neither my family's mansion nor her mother's small home, but something entirely ours. She's reading, wearing my old college shirt, her hair a mess, her glasses slightly crooked. She looks up and smiles at me, and I remember that gardenia-scented moment when everything changed, when one kiss cost everything and gave me everything worth having. "What are you thinking about?" she asks, closing her book. "How lucky I am. How close I came to missing this. Sentimental tonight?" Every night, I sit beside her. Every single night, I think about what my life would have been, with Jennifer, or someone like her, empty and acceptable, and slowly dying inside. "That's dark," she says, but she's smiling. "It's true. You saved me, Rocio. Not from poverty or danger or anything dramatic. You saved me from becoming my father, from living a life that looked successful but felt hollow, from never knowing what it means to actually love someone instead of just tolerating them." She laughs. That rare, beautiful sound I'll never get tired of hearing. And I think about all the people who never get this, who let fear or pride or family expectations choose for them, who never kiss the person in the garden because the vase might shatter and the world might see, who play it safe and call it wisdom, who die having never really lived. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not promising perfect. The other day, someone at a business dinner asked Rocio if she was one of the staff, and I watched her face close down, watched her have to smile and correct them politely while I dealt with my own rage and shame. We still get looks. We still get comments. The world still hasn't learned that love doesn't respect boundaries we make up to divide ourselves. But I'm saying it's worth it. Every hard conversation, every uncomfortable dinner, every moment when you have to choose love over legacy, humanity over hierarchy, every time you have to explain to someone that your wife isn't your employee, that her family's struggles don't define her worth, that poverty isn't a moral failing, and wealth isn't a virtue. Because at the end of everything, at the end of money and power and carefully maintained appearances, what we leave behind isn't bank accounts or business empires or society's approval. It's the way we made people feel, the walls we broke down, the love we chose when it would have been easier to walk away, the example we set for whoever comes after, showing them that change is possible, that courage matters, that human beings are worth more than their utility or their background or their last name. Isabella is engaged now, to a guy who works in construction. My father nearly had another heart attack when she announced it. But then he looked at me, at Rocio, at the life we've built that's so much richer than the one he'd planned for me. And he said, "If he makes you happy, then he's good enough for this family." Progress. Slow and painful, but real. Rocio's brother got clean. Been sober 18 months now. Working at her consulting firm. Doing grunt work, but doing it well. He calls my father Sir, and my father calls him by his name. They play chess sometimes. Strange sight, but beautiful too. Jennifer moved away. Last I heard, she's working sales in another city, dating someone normal. Maybe she found something real. I hope so. Everyone deserves that chance. Even people who hurt us. Maybe especially them. Because hurt people, and healing has to start somewhere. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever loved someone the world told you was wrong for you, or if you're trying to unlearn the prejudices you were raised with, or if you're just tired of pretending that status matters more than souls, you're not alone. Share this with someone who needs to remember that hearts are smarter than hierarchies, that the best love stories aren't about finding someone perfect, but about becoming someone worthy of the imperfect, beautiful person who chose you back. And subscribe if you want. Because some stories deserve to be told. The messy ones. The complicated ones. The ones that don't fit neatly into boxes or expectations. The ones that remind us we're all just people, trying to love and be loved in a world that makes it harder than it should be. But we keep trying anyway. We keep planting roses that will bloom next spring. We keep showing up for the people we love. We keep breaking down walls that should never have been built. We keep choosing courage over comfort, growth over stagnation, love over fear. That's the hope. That's always the hope. That one kiss, one choice, One moment of courage can crack open a world that seemed fixed and unchangeable, that we're not prisoners of the past or the prejudices we inherited, that every day we get to choose again. Choose better, choose love. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, love chooses us back.